Shoot! Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now we're out again, and well, we will be out again later so that we can do some filming in the dark. And we are, it's just flashlight season. I've got a lot of flashlight content coming up, but today we are here to look at the small but mighty, although it's not too small, but the small yet incredibly mighty Warrior Mini 2 from Olight. So the awesome team at Olight UK have sent this to me. So full disclosure, you know, this was sent to me free of charge. However, I certainly wasn't paid to, to make this content or for this to feature on the channel. So all of the opinions, if I do give in any opinions today, they will all be 100% mine. And there's a helicopter flying over. Let's hope it doesn't stay there for too long. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we're here to look at. I forgot where I was going. Bloody helicopters. Now, what I'll do is, as I usually do, I'll turn the camera around so that we can take a closer look. That's a really loud helicopter. But whilst I'm doing that, so I'm currently doing a giveaway for one of these. These are the Axwell wallets. So if you'd like to see how to subscribe, well, I mean, it's not difficult to subscribe, but if you are subscribed, check the link below so that you can see exactly how you can win one of those. But for now, let's do the actual real thing. Let's turn the camera around so that we can take a closer look at the Warrior Mini 2. Okay, so here we have the Olight Warrior Mini 2. Now, as we usually do, we will go through some, materials and specs and things, but I thought with Olight, you definitely get quite a bit more in the box. So I'm just going to put that down for a quick second, just so we can go what you get in here. Now, actually, if we can zoom in on this, will this zoom in? I don't know if you want to pause this, but there's some of the details about this flashlight. It's generally what I use as my cheat sheet. So opening this up, obviously, as you expect, you get the light in there, but you also get on the underside, so you get this additional key ring that you can use. It's class, I guess they call it as a carabiner, but it specifically says on there not for climbing. You also get a lanyard. Now the lanyard's slightly different, rather than kind of an accessory kind of cord lanyard. It's this TPU style rubbery material, which is really nice. You also get in here, you get how to use this. They also make sure that you charge this when you take it out and you take the little stopper off. Make sure you charge it straight away. It's certainly one of the things that they definitely recommend that you do. But also on here, hopefully if we can stay in focus, come on, stay in focus, focus. Here's the charger. So the vast majority of Olights, in fact, I'd say probably all of them that have these style chargers, well, obviously it's all of them have these style chargers, they have these proprietary style chargers. Now generally I'm not a proprietary cable kind of guy, but I mean, let's face it, Olight absolutely nail it with these. So there is a magnetic charging port on here, which just clicks on. All of the chargers, or all of these style chargers that Olight use, are compatible between each of these, which is the main reason that this is still on here. I haven't used this mainly because I have quite a few of these now, so I don't need to keep reusing these new ones. But it's USB, it's a USB connector, and then on the end here it really does just snap on. You can see it kind of going in there, but the tail cap on this, it has these three little prongs, and then you can see that there is a diode, an anode, whatever it is that you call it. So it connects around on the outside where this little copper connection is here, and then the central point connects onto the end there. So if you do put it on and you miss it slightly, the magnets on here are strong enough that it will make sure that it pulls it into the right position as well. Also, which I think is a commendable thing for Olight as well, is if you did want to pick up a few more of these, they're not particularly expensive, even though they are their own proprietary ones. So again, yes, you can pick these up at a later date if you need to get another one. So here is the actual light itself, and what we'll go through some measurements, some materials, we'll go through some of the features itself. I know you guys really do like to see these working in the dark, so I'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. Now, as far as the length goes from the tactical bezel that you have here on the end all the way through to the tail switch. I know I've mentioned already that this is the magnetized tail switch, but you have a tail switch here on the end, but you also have a function switch here as well. But as far as the length, it comes in at 118 millimeters. The diameter, which really is the head here, which is the widest, comes in at 25 millimeters. 25 millimeters is an inch, isn't it? So just in case you needed that in inches. Now the length of it, if you do need that in inches, comes in at 4.65 inches. It's constructed from aluminium. You tend to find a lot of these lights nowadays are all constructed from the same material. Generally, they're a 6061 T6F airframe style aluminium, and this is the same. It's constructed from aluminium, which is great. It means that it's light, but it also means that it's also incredibly tough. Now, as far as the weight is concerned, it comes in at 122 grams, which is 4 ounces, 4.3 ounces, something like that. And that's also including the battery in there. Now, as far as the battery is concerned, so this screws, now naturally, I always go to the tail. You generally tend to find that the vast majority of them are a tail switch that rotates off. But with this one, it's actually the head unit that comes off. So the barrel opens here, and the battery on the inside is one of Olight's proprietary batteries. So unfortunately, you can't use other 18650 batteries if you do have some of those. I think a lot of it comes down to the way in which the end works here, because is it the positive? Oh, it's not the positive and the negative. It's both. Sorry, the positive is here and the negative at the end. Sometimes you have both of the diodes there. But as I mentioned, so it's an 18650 battery, which is a 300 is a 3500 milliamp hour battery. On the inside, in case you were curious, if you do need to use this as a tactical flashlight, I know that this is really for kind of security, law enforcement. You have a spring on this end, but there is also a spring. You probably can't see that, but deep down within there is a spring on both ends. So if this is used tactically, if it does take a knock, there is a spring on both sides to make sure that the battery will be held in place. And more importantly, there isn't a disconnection between the battery and the source for the light, so it will still stay on. In the box, you do also get a few extra O-rings, so there is a rubber O-ring here on the end, and there's also a little bit of, I guess it's silicone grease on here to make sure that you get a good connection on there. The battery doesn't rattle around. There is a little rattle, but mainly that's because they need to make sure there is a slight tolerance in there due to the metal contracting when it gets cold. Something that I always test, my Granddad always kind of did this with the things that he did when he screwed things in. There is the tolerances on the manufacturing. So as you just get in there is a slight wiggle. With a quarter or maybe half a turn, all of those tolerances, they just completely seal up, and there is a very good and incredibly smooth. Engineering for Olight is perfect. In fact, it's buttery smooth being able to screw that into there. You have a tail, so you have a clip on this, which you can move to the tail if you choose to. It does come with an additional clip. It's in my pocket. I don't think I can get it out fast enough. It does come with an additional clip on here so that you can clip it on here so that you can use the lanyard, but also have this on at the same time so that you can keep the clip on there as well if you wanted to have that. I took it off mainly because it had a split ring on there, which just rattled around a little bit too much, so I took it off. But it is a double clip, so you can put it on this way if you want to slide it on that way, but you can also slide it on that way again, dependent on how you use it. The bezel on the end is quite, oh sorry again, we've just gone slightly out of focus, but the bezel on the end there is quite a gnarly bezel. If you did need to use this tactically, you have the tail switch on the end which puts it onto the turbo mode, but if you did need to use it, you did need to strike something with this, then it would certainly hurt. I think for law enforcement and security, if you did need to get into a window or a car window or something like this, they don't have those, you tend to find with a few, they have those tungsten carbide rings on there. I don't think this is tungsten carbide, but it would still give you great access into something. Now, whilst we're talking at this end, which I guess is the money end, you can see into there, you can see the LED in there, which is a really nice, bright LED. Or at least when it's on. I'm certainly not going to turn it on and turn it into the camera as we're looking at this. But yes, so at its highest, it manages to produce 1,700 lumens. At its lowest, which is a moonlight style mode, it goes all the way down to 1 lumen, which I say this a lot, and I talk about this a lot, especially with flashlights, but low modes and moonlight modes, on this one the low mode is 15 lumens, the moonlight mode is 1 lumen. I generally tend to use those lower modes more than I use some of the higher modes. They're just more manageable. Now, as far as the use is concerned, so I did mention that there is a tail cap, or at least a tail button on this. This gives you instant access and direct access onto its highest, which is the turbo mode, which is your 1,700 lumens. All of the other modes, or I suppose you still can get access to the turbo mode on this, but they're all done through this single button here, which, as you can see, it's a press on, turn off. And then there's a series of either double presses or triple presses or long presses to go through the different modes. Now, I have said this a lot, and I still do stick to this. I do prefer a double click for on. Now, I will say that there have been a few times that I've took this out of my pocket and I have noticed that it has been on whilst it's in there, because I've knocked this against something, it's turned on, and it's turned on within my pocket. Now, as a safety feature, when this is on at its high mode, I think is it a medium? I'll double check on this, but let's say for now on its high mode and in its turbo mode that there is a proximity sensor on here. So if you look at the end here, there is a small black part in there. So if I put this onto its high mode and I move my hand in front of this, you'll see just quickly then it did kick down. So they do have features on this to make sure that if it does turn on in your pocket, it's not going to certainly set fire or burn your pocket, but it would be nice to have this so it changed to a double click. As I do mention, it has turned on whilst it's in my pocket. Now, the way in which I would get around this, and if Olight did this on all of these lights and they changed this, oh, where did I put it? Would be to make sure that all of the lights have this. So this is the Olight Seeker 3 Pro. The way in which this one works is, at this moment in time, if I try and turn it on, it just simply won't turn on. As an added extra on this, you have to rotate it through 90 degrees and then press it and it will turn on. So they do have these, they have this technology, they have these button modules in their bag. I think if they could adopt these or migrate these over onto more of these lights, if they had added this to the Warrior Mini 2, I think that would be a game changer. And so I do often ask myself, is there anything that I would change? That would be the bit that's changed, but when I have it on, because I use the lower modes more often than I use other modes, it just sat in my pocket in low mode, so it probably didn't take up, or at least it didn't use a lot of light while it's in there, or at least a lot of battery. Now, it's off at this moment in time, so to get it onto the moonlight mode, you hold it down for a few seconds and you'll see that we are now in moonlight mode. Moonlight mode on this is 1 lumen, and from a full charge you'll get roughly 45 days. That's pretty freaking sweet. So yes, 1 lumen, sorry, and you'll on that you'll get roughly 45 days, and it's a single click again to turn it off. Now, there is a memory function in this, so when I turn it on again, it will remember Some lights you will get it that it doesn't remember the moonlight modes. On this one it does remember the moonlight mode, so if you turn it off, turn it back on again, it will remember that and it will put it back onto there. Now normally if you're not using the moonlight mode, you'll do a long press and you'll see that it will jump up, and this will generally be the main one that it will come onto, and this is low mode. The low mode on this is 15 lumens and you'll get roughly 164 hours of battery life out of this. Now I don't have the equipment to be able to test these, so I'm just purely going off what the manufacturers say that you can get from this. Now another long press will bump that up. This will then bump up onto the medium mode, which is 120 lumens. You get a really nice light from this. The clarity that you get is very similar to what I've found with other similar Phoenix lights. Now Phoenix lights are always the clarity from the whether it's the crystals that they use in the ends, or whether it's the LED units that they use are exceptional, and this is one that is similar to that. The clarity that you get from 120 lumens from here is very good. It's very good at being able to see and piercing the darkness. Now for 120 lumens from a full charge, you'll get roughly 19 hours worth of battery out of this. A single, again, or at least, sorry, another long press will then now bump this up into the high mode. Now you do get, so from the high mode you'll get 500 lumens, and then after roughly after 218 seconds, it will then bump down to, so there is a step down on this, it will then step down, sorry, not bump down, it will then step down to 200 lumens, and then you'll get a further 55 minutes out of that. So the high mode is 500 lumens for 218 seconds. Drop down then to 200 lumens, where you'll get 55 minutes of light from that. And then with a single press, it will then turn it off. Now when it's on, and it's on in high mode, you can then do a double press, which will then bump it up onto your turbo mode. But I did also mention that here with the tail light, this is direct access to your turbo mode. So again, if this is being used for law enforcement, if this is being used for security, if you're holding it like this, a single click and you'll be able to get through direct access to your turbo mode. It's actually really good, especially as well with gloves on. It's very simple to get these. Now I will say, because they have these three prongs here on the end, if I rotate that, you do sometimes find that if you get it on one where you get and you just get, so you're onto that, you have to kind of reach past it. The prongs aren't particularly wide, so they're not hard to find, and generally if you curl your fingers round, sorry, I've got off camera in a second, if you curl your fingers round to where the spring is here, the spring won't rotate past, because the spring, or at least the pocket clip is here and it's attached, so it won't rotate past there, because that's where the button is. So if you're holding it onto it and you curl your fingers around there, it just naturally falls into a position where your thumb goes between those. But getting back to it, so this gives you full access to your 1750 lumens. Now again, so there are some kick downs on this. So at 1750 lumens, you'll get 4 minutes on this. After that, it will then drop down to 500 lumens, where you'll get 200, and I don't know why they put it on here, but you'll get 206 seconds, which is less than, what's that? That's just over 3 minutes. And then after that, it will then kick down to 200 lumens, which you will get 40 minutes out of. So just to go over that again, so 1750 lumens for 4 minutes, 500 lumens kick down after that for just over 3 minutes, and then it will drop down to 200 lumens, where you will get your 40 minutes out of that. Now I thought, whilst it's here, I'd just compare it to some other lights that I've done recently. Oh, where did I put that other one? Where did I put it? Oh, it's here. So, okay, so here is the much larger brother to it. So this, as I mentioned, so this is the Seeker 3, oh sorry, the Seeker 3 Pro. You're getting over 4,000 lumens out of this, and it's also got the 21700 battery in here. So you do get an awful lot more out of this. With the 4 LEDs in here, you get a wider flood as well. But you know, you cut your cloth accordingly. I think having the drop down to the 1750 lumens that you get with this, it's a great balance in the difference between the two. And then we have the Baton 3 Pro here as well, which I really do like this light. I think this is possibly one of my top EDC lights this year. But again, the drop down and the difference on the size of this and the power, the difference between the two. This is a more EDCable flashlight. This is still definitely EDCable. You can, you know, you certainly don't have any difficulties carrying this in your pocket, but you get a lot more performance out of the Warrior Mini 2 than you do with the Baton 3 Pro. But again, you know, it's just a toss-up of what you prefer to get out of a flashlight with both of these lights. But for now, let's have a look at how these perform when, or at least mainly this one, how this performs in the dark. Okay, so I'm out and it is raining, so I will apologise if you can hear the rain noise around. I'm also recording this on my phone, but here we have the moonlight mode, which is just your 1 lumen. Now, you really don't get to see an awful lot with 1 lumen, but it's great when you're inside the house, just trying to find something with maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't want to wake up your partner if you're trying to find something, or you're certainly in a room that you don't want to blind yourself if it's a small room. But on the moonlight mode, this is 1 lumen. Now I can do a long press, and this will take it up into the low mode, which is 15 lumens. So with 15 lumens, I can start to see this tree in front of me, which is about 5 meters away. But then over there is another tree that's maybe, say, 12 meters, 10, 12 meters away, which you really can't see at all. But over here to my right, this tree is about 5 meters away. So I think for 15 lumens, it does a very good job of, you know, just being able to see the things that you need to do. Another long press, so now this takes it from low up to medium. So this is 120 lumens. Again, you can see that tree, but now that one in the distance that we couldn't see before, which mentions about 10, 12 meters away, is definitely a lot easier to be able to see that. And that's 120 lumens on the medium mode. Now with another long press, this will then take it up to the high mode, which is 500 lumens. These trees become a lot easier to see, and then in the distance you can even see the trees that are over there as well. So in the high mode, you know, it's 500 lumens, so it does a very good job at you being able to see all of the stuff that's around you. And then with a double press, we can then bump you up into your 1750 lumens, which, being able to see those trees in the distance over there, they're roughly about 30-40 meters away. Over to there, again, you know, they're probably about 20-30 meters away. It certainly makes it a lot easier. Now when you're walking around with a light like this, you know, you get a lot of light being spread out, so you can see a lot that's in front of you, and then into the distance as well. But really 1700 lumens, it's mainly there for, and you can access this, as I mentioned before, you can access directly from the tail cap, and that will turn that on. But just an idea, really, you don't get a full idea of how much light that you can get from a light like this, mainly due to the camera. It just doesn't pick up the quality of it. But walking through here, you can see on the turbo mode, it's certainly easier to be able to see where you're walking. Now I definitely think Olight have done it again by putting just that perfect marriage of features into this. The direct access to turbo on the bottom is great, especially if, you know, you need to use it, and I say tactical situation. If you're in law enforcement, then yes, you got that tactical situation, but you know, if you're ever in a situation where you need to bludgeon somebody with this, but just make sure you can see what you're doing first, then I think that's great. The switch on here, now I do like the switch. I think it could be improved, especially as I mentioned, you know, if it's one thing that I could change, the others where they have that kind of the rotating dial on there. I think that would be great to add to this, but I don't think that takes an awful lot away from this. Olight have a formula. I'd say that's pretty fair to say. A lot of their lights follow a certain formula, and it's great. You know, they have a lot of success with that formula, and I think that the Warrior Mini 2 definitely expands on that formula and just kind of takes it to the next level. I like the safety features that they've got in there to make sure that if you do turn this on in your pocket and, you know, it does happen to come on high, it'll make sure that, you know, you're not going to burn your pocket. Yeah, generally I like this light, and I can see why other YouTubers, other content makers that have tested these out in the past, this is that light that they have in their pocket 24/7. You know, they get sent another light, they'll test it, and then they go back to this. So yeah, I can definitely see, and yeah, do think this is a great light. Now, Olight being Olight, is there a Y at the end of the day? Yes, there is a Y at the end of the day. So Olight are having another sale. It's currently on. I think it starts now. They asked me to post this on the Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So I think that's probably because it starts now. So if you're watching this content, check the links below so that you can see more from Olight. I have some affiliate links to Olight UK. And again, you know, any money that I make from those affiliate links, it just gets ploughed straight back into the channel so that I can continue making amazing content just like this. But yes, so I'll leave some links below. Definitely check them out. It's the Black Friday sales, so you'll probably find that you get a little bit more discount than you generally get through the rest of the year. But yeah, thank you again to the Olight team for sending this my way. I certainly look forward to other content that we'll get to make in the future. I'll leave all of their links below. I'll leave some of my social media links below as well. But for now, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. Ba-ba! Ba-ba-ba! It's in my pocket. It's in my pocket. It is here, but of course, mais oui. Love that phrase. But of course. But of course. Such a beautiful French kind of thing to say. Mais oui, but of course. I like the French. A lot of people give the French a lot of grief. I don't think it's actually valid in the grief that people give the French. They're a beautiful nation, live in an absolutely beautiful country with some amazing food, and people say, oh, French, they're buddy, oh, they're so arrogant. No, they're not. No arrogant than the British. I think we've got it. Should we start this? I should probably stop talking about France. I might get some. Can I get on home that's French? Oh, madeleines. I love madeleines. Yeah, should we see if we can get some madeleines on the way home? Madeleines and custard. Damn, that's so good. That's a strange one. Strange waffle. Let's waffle on the French. Ooh, a Belgian waffle. Now they're nice. In Belgium, Brussels. Go to Brussels. They do the best Belgian waffles. Hey, welcome to Moorlander's trip around Europe. What are we doing? We're doing a torch today, aren't we? We are doing the Warrior Mini 2. Let's do this. Stop being a dick.